So to conclude this training, let's finish up by implementing some actual tests. So far we have only been building binaries and producing some root files and plots, but we haven't actually tested that things are running properly. So things are going, the testing is going to depend a lot based on what kind of language you're using, what kind of project you're working on. For today, we'll just be looking at some very basic example of how we can implement some tests in Python, basically by checking that the output of the things we run is what we expect. And there's a lot more that needs to be learned if you actually want to implement some testing. There are some other trainings in the IRIS-HEP website that focus on PyTest and goes deeper into it. But for today, we'll keep it simple. So the idea for today is that we have this workflow. So we're building scheme and running it, plotting, producing all these files. So what we want to do is produce, is to have an extra job that tests the output of the previous jobs. So what we'll do is we'll basically have a couple of Python scripts that check the outputs of the previous jobs. So so let's start by creating a tests directory, and let's simply copy and paste the scripts that are given here. What they do is basically compare the output of some input file with, and make sure that it has some lines that we expect it to have. Let's see, so let's first create this file. Let's copy all of this in there. Let's save and quit, and let's do the same for this other file. So this first file will basically be testing the scheme job that we had, and then this other file will be testing the plot job that we had. Let's see, so let's copy this, and then let's copy all these contents in there. And so, as I mentioned, these are just very simple scripts. Ideally, you should be using something like PyTest if you're using Python, but for now we're just keeping it simple. So let's also save this, and let's actually already add these tests and commit. Okay, and so now what we'll have to do is we'll have to modify our YAML file so that we have a new job that does the testing. Let's see, so let's call it just test, and of course we'll need the output from the previous jobs. So we could, for example, include here that it needs, we need to tell it that it needs both the plot job and the scheme job. In this case, it doesn't really matter because all of the jobs are sequential. So if we require the plot job, is already gonna imply that it requires the scheme job, but we can write it this, so we can just simply write it like this. Let's, as usual, run on Ubuntu latest and use the same container, and let's specify the list of steps. So as usual, we should check out the repository, and we'll also have to download the artifacts that were produced in previous jobs. So let's copy this, let's paste it over here. Let's see, so we're going to need this scheme.gg file that was produced by the scheme job, and we will also need the histograms artifact that was produced by this plot job. So let's copy this again, so we can also download the histograms artifact. So let's change this to histograms. Okay, and now that we have the files, we can start by running the test by basically running this Python script. Let's see, so that we can test the scheme job. So let's call this step test code flow, and what it should run is simply Python and then this file. And similarly for testing the histogram part, let's call it test hist, and what it should run again is simply Python and then tests and then the file that we had, and then that should be it. Let's save this file, let's add it, and let's make a commit. And let's push it to GitHub. Let's go over here, let's go to actions and see that this is running. So let's wait until this completes. Okay, so this finished and there was an error. Let's see, so it seems like we forgot to add the log that was produced in the scheme job. So what we should do here is that in the scheme job, let's see, instead of only uploading the root file as an artifact, we should also include scheme.gg.log. Let's add this. Let's add it first. Let's make a commit and then let's push and see if it works now. Okay, so let's go back over here and Let's wait until it finishes. Okay, so it failed again. Let's see what happened. Okay, so it seems like, okay, that's just because we forgot to actually make that file. So let's fix that quickly. So here we had to output the results into scheme.gh.log, and that should work now. So let me skip until we see the results on GitHub. Okay, so now all of our jobs finished, and you can see that the testing one succeeded. So that means that now we have all the testing, all the simple testing scripts working. So this was only a very simple example of what you can do. As I mentioned before, you in general it gets a bit more complicated, but with what you've learned here, you should be able to now start implementing CI workflows for your code. There's a bit of homework if you want. You can try adding more jobs, you can try adding more tests, or for example try changing some tests or some parts. For example, try changing some of these numbers here and see how the tests are gonna fail, things like that. But yeah, so that is all for now. If you feel like there was something unclear in the material, you can always go to the GitHub repository and leave an issue, or if you want to fix it, you can submit a pull request. But yeah, that is it for now, and thanks for watching.